Seb, thank you so much. And I'll share an introduction with you anytime. No problem at all. So glad that all of you have joined us today for the Digiday Gaming Advertising Forum. We have just been buzzing about this for a while now. This is the first one of what will be many of these deep dives into the gaming industry. And all of you who joined us today, thank you. We're so excited you're here. And one of the threads that runs through this, of course, is that it's a labor of love. Putting this on as a labor of love, the subject lends itself to that, doesn't it? So we've been hearing all day about the life cycle of online gaming and how it opens up this spectrum of opportunities for stakeholders of all kinds. And right now we're going to be joined, indeed, as previewed by Seb, by Mike Schoelch, who's the National Vice President at ironSource. ironSource is one of the partners that Custom, the team that I run, the custom content team under production here at Digiday, it's a platform that's reaching out and finding mobile content creators where they create and helping them to compete and succeed in the app economy. And we're working with ironSource on some joint research right now, as we do here at Custom. And we're surveying our audience and we're surveying gamers, and we're looking to a forthcoming report that will examine all of those respondents and audiences and media buyers' attitudes toward mobile gaming in particular, and advertising in mobile gaming, and diversity and demographics in the space, all of the things that have been coursing through the veins of this particular show today. So we're going to talk a little bit with Mike about what kind of in-game mobile ads are working best and what we're finding in that research. Mike, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely great to see you. And I know you and I have been talking a bit during the course of this research. Let's start with what we know already. We're seeing a lot of data come through the channel right now. We're thinking about what we know is changing, right? So the very idea of the gamer is changing, and old assumptions are being defied. We know this as an industry and as people passionate about this industry. Our data is showing this. More than 60, in the order of 64% of our respondents just don't identify as a quote unquote gamer. That's significant. I mean, they're happy to acknowledge that they play games. We found that, and more than 60% of them are saying, "Hey, we play games daily on mobile." So these are not light, users of the technology. But the question that let's start with this today: what does that trend mean for advertisers, our audience today, as they build mobile in-game campaigns?
Yeah, I think mobile gaming has grown into the largest casual entertainment experience globally over the past few years, and players are relaxing on the couch. They're second screening, which is where I play my games. They're taking a break through their day or before bed. And mobile gaming is different than console and PC gaming. Everyone has a console in their pocket. And in the research we did, 82% of respondents said that they play games to relax. And I think that's because mobile gaming has become ubiquitous with people's everyday lives. It's transcended beyond the label of a quote-unquote gamer. And that's why even though 60% of mobile gamers play daily, they don't often consider themselves a gamer. App developers are actually building games for the breaks within your day. Those hyper casual and casual experiences have exploded over the last few years, and developers actually understand the moments of gameplay and are building games for those experiences. The idea of building a game that a user can play within the time it takes to wait in line at Starbucks is real. 83% of time spent is happening within the app environment, and apps have become the primary means for user engagement within all of mobile. And the two leading categories for time spent are social and games. So, the research that we're doing together shows that audiences who play games on mobile are age, income, and gender diverse, and they're actually very closely mimicking the US population. So as marketers, we need to understand the experiences of mobile games and understand the mobile gaming audience in the US. And I think that will help us understand the marketing opportunity, no matter if the gamer thinks that they are a gamer or not.
I'm listening to you and I'm just thinking about, when I was mashing buttons on Gauntlet or Rampage back in the 80s at the local arcade, nobody was advertising to me. And now, the data about mobile gamers, mobile people who play games, people who play mobile games, is that they convert, they get ads and they buy. I mean, our data coming through that we're analyzing right now is suggesting 7 to 8 times per year, each of them will purchase from an in-game ad if it matches up with what they're doing and it's pulled off correctly. I mean, to you, Mike, what does that mean? I mean, what's at stake right now in terms of the kind of business that's out there to claim, and what sort of outcomes do you at ironSource see happening within the in-game advertising channel?
Yeah, that's great. And you know, our in-app marketplace covers around 90% of the whole in-game mobile economy. So it gives us a lot of use cases across a lot of different industries and a lot of different client KPIs. You know, the vast majority of ad formats in mobile gaming are full screen video and rich media, things like playables and shoppable creatives. But the gaming experience is a really engaging entertainment channel. And so we see brands who are focused on upper funnel metrics like awareness and consideration, focusing on kind of brand lift studies, to more sales and lower funnel tactics like install-based initiatives. So mobile gaming reaches a massively diverse and highly engaged audience. Therefore, it's a really great channel for all different types of initiatives, from the top of the funnel to the bottom. And I think that's really the interesting part, is about each and every client and each and every campaign has a totally unique target and a totally unique KPI that they're trying to drive. And we see a lot of differences between the types of campaigns that we are running.
I think that formats must matter, right? I mean, the idea of an ad that works, the campaigns that feature them. When we look at our respondents and the data that's coming through on the research we're doing together, I know we're seeing, it's something like 64% of our respondents say, I want to, in some way, shape, or form, play this ad. I mean, I want to interact with it. I want to get a level up from it. I want to get a boost from it. But one of the other things we saw was that playable ads weren't right out at the forefront of our advertisers' responses on effectiveness. About 40% of them cited what you could interact with as being the biggest win in their campaign. So what's the state of that? What's the state of these kinds of ads as ironSource evaluates the landscape when you're working with your partners? How well is the industry building and deploying playable units?
So when it comes to placements within mobile gaming, there's interstitial and rewarded video placements, and in some case footers. Interstitials happen within those normal breaks within the gameplay. After a level or a game, you'll receive an ad. The other placement is rewarded, which was invented by the mobile gaming industry and utilizes a value exchange. The rewarded placement, it was invented by the mobile gaming industry, so therefore it's not uncommon to hear that that's the preferred format for our audiences. Similar to Spotify or Pandora's rewarded placements, where a user will watch an ad to get 15 minutes of free listening, mobile gaming developers reward users who watch a video with in-app currency like coins or lives. And both ad placements are really important. Understanding how to evaluate performance both on a proxy level like VCR, engagement rate if it's a playable, CTR, or viewability is important, but also how to measure business outcomes like consideration, foot traffic, and sales is also crucial. And understanding, that these are all going to be different. And we've just recently wrapped up a campaign with a leading OTC CPG brand who leveraged a custom playable, and they wanted to help explain to users the differences on the different cold and flu symptoms and what they cured with their product. The KPI was really increasing consideration through a brand study, and they wanted to use playables because playables are the closest thing to a native ad experience that the user gets to interact with within a game. And by getting users to play the game, the consumers were able to learn about the product benefits. And we actually ended up seeing an over 150% of the benchmark on engagement rate, and the client was able to see a consideration lift over 210% benchmark based on their brand study partner. But we also work with partners like QSRs, retailers, and gaming partners to drive installs and sales and in-app actions like registration and purchases. And so each marketer has to really understand the gaming category. If we look at social and games, the two largest categories, my guess is almost every marketer has a specific strategy for social. Yet when we look at time spent with gaming being such a big driver, marketers need to understand how to evaluate a playable. Are we looking to drive consideration or awareness or intent? Or are we looking for lower funnel activity? All of those things are super important, but it really does resonate with consumers, and they're responding with that.
I mean, yes, and you and I were talking the other day about how it's just opened up a whole different way of thinking about marketers and advertisers in specific ways when it comes to these playable units. I mean, somebody has to build a game now to make an ad work, and I think that's an amazing opportunity for the industry to grow and think about the future of not only the people that it hires and the roles that they fill, but really what the nature of an ad is in the end, and where the lines start to blur. And we have a lot of information before us, and we're going to be working together to really do the fun part in the coming days and weeks, which is all the analysis and the batting back and forth of what this means. And in these reports, typically what we're aiming for are some takeaways, some tactics and some strategic advice that we can give to our audiences, your audiences, the industry in general. But how about a preview? If we think about all the new data that ironSource and Custom have coming together right now, what are some takeaways? What's a strategic or tactical point that you'd offer our audience today? And what should they get to work on in the near term?
Yeah, so I think there's three big takeaways that we've seen from the data initially. With over 2.6 billion mobile gamers in 2020 worldwide, mobile gamers might not consider themselves a gamer, but in fact, they're playing over on a daily basis over 60%. And I think number two, the gamer is a very diverse audience. We're seeing that age, gender, and ethnic background really mimic the US population almost to a T. So I think that's really interesting when we start to look at who is actually gaming. It isn't the 13-year-old young kids who are the console gamers. It's really going to be a very diverse audience, which I think is interesting for marketers. And then games are a really important element in the media consumption. And as a marketer, needing to understand how to make gaming a cornerstone of their mobile strategy, because you can reach so many different audiences, and it's such an engaging experience.
Thanks, Mike. I think that's super, super helpful. And we'll have some information associated with this report coming out even earlier. Next week, we should be able to share some initial findings with our audience. We've been talking today here with Mike Schoelch, who's the National Vice President for Sales at ironSource. It's been super to have you here today. I hope that you'll come back and join us on the other side of the report. We'll talk again about what we're finding and what people are telling you based on what we reveal. And it's been a great conversation. I know that everyone who's been listening has gotten a lot from it today.
Thanks so much.
I'm going to hand this back to our good friend, Seb Joseph, who's brands editor here at Digiday Media. Seb, take it away.